when most people think about video games from the East, their minds almost immediately go to Japan.
Right. Like, Japan has become synonymous with Eastern games.
Yeah, exactly.
But that perception really just scratches the surface of a much richer and more diverse gaming landscape.
Definitely, and that's exactly what we're diving into today.
Yeah, forget that limited view.
We're going deep.
We're taking a deep dive into the history and the really distinct flavors of role-playing video games.
Across East Asia.
All across East Asia.
Yeah, not just Japan, but also
Japan, of course.
China,
South Korea.
South Korea.
And Taiwan.
The whole region.
And we've got this fantastic collection of sources here, kind of a mix of everything.
Oh, yeah.
From those broad strokes of history.
The big picture.
To really detailed looks at specific games and the impact they had.
So our mission on this deep dive is to pinpoint those crucial moments that shaped RPGs in each of these East Asian regions.
Yeah, how RPGs took shape in each of these East Asian regions and how they evolved over time.
Okay, let's jump right in, starting with Japan.
Sounds good.
Now, there's this widespread idea that Japan has always been this console-dominated gaming world.
Yeah, and it's easy to see why people might think that, given the global impact of consoles like the Nintendo Entertainment System, the NES.
Right, it makes sense.
But that perspective kind of hides a really vibrant earlier history of PC gaming in Japan.
Oh, wow.
From the late 1970s right up to the mid-1990s.
Wow, so like decades.
Decades, yeah. Japan was a real hub for commercial PC games. We're talking thousands of titles. Thousands of PC games.
That's incredible. It sounds like it might have been a bit of a free-for-all at the beginning, though, right?
Oh, yeah.
Like in terms of all the different computer systems, like trying to fit a square peg in a million round holes.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The early Japanese PC market was incredibly fragmented.
I can imagine.
Just imagine this. A single game like Lode Runner apparently needed a mind-boggling 34 different hardware conversions. 34? Just to be playable across all the various systems available.
That's insane.
It's wild, right?
That sounds like a developer's worst nightmare.
It must have been.
So how did they even begin to, like, bring some order to that chaos?
Well, over time, certain platforms started to pull ahead. You know, the NEC PC 80A1 and PC 9801, they became the dominant forces. But there were definitely strong contenders.
Who else was out there?
You also had the Sharp X1 and X68000, the FM7 and FM Towns lines, and who could forget the MSX and MSX2?
Wow, it's like a whole separate universe of computing history.
It really is.
That most of us in the West were completely unaware of.
Totally separate.
And what's really fascinating is that these Japanese systems often had key technical differences compared to the PCs we were using in the West at the time.
For sure.
Like thinking about the higher display resolution.
Exactly. Often 640 by 400 pixels, which doesn't sound like a lot today.
Yeah, not really.
But back then, that was a big deal.
Yeah, that was huge.
And it was essential for displaying the complex Japanese text characters.
Oh, that makes sense.
You need all those extra pixels, right?
Yeah, you need the detail.
And it naturally had a significant impact on how games were designed visually, allowing for more detail.
That makes sense.
And then there's the sound.
Yeah, I was going to say, I vaguely remember reading something about the sound capabilities, too.
Oh, yeah. From the early 1980s onwards, Japanese computers widely adopted Yamaha FM synthesis soundboards.
I see. So that's what gave them that distinctive sound. That was so different from what we were hearing in the West.
It allowed for much richer, more melodic music.
Yeah.
Think of it like a more sophisticated way of creating electronic sounds compared to the simple beeps and boops we were used to.
Right, like the classic 8-bit sounds.
Exactly. And this technology allowed composers like the legendary Yuzo Koshiro to craft these incredible, distinctive soundtracks.
Oh man, his music is amazing.
Oh yeah, so catchy.
And it really became a signature of Japanese RPGs from companies like Nihon Falcom.
Definitely.
Seriously catchy stuff.
Oh, absolutely. So with all these fundamental differences in hardware.
Yeah, you can see where this is going.
It's no wonder we didn't see a huge wave of these games making their way to North America back then.
It was just too difficult. The technical hurdles were just too high.
Right.
I mean, most of these titles just remain within Japan.
Makes sense.
And even when they did eventually reach Western audiences, it was typically through ports.
To consoles or something.
Yeah, ports to consoles like the NES or Sega Genesis.
Okay.
Or sometimes to the more familiar American PC platforms like MS-DOS.
Right, so it was either adapted to the hardware we had.
Exactly.
Or it just stayed in Japan.
Pretty much.
Now, it wasn't solely a case of domestic inspiration driving the Japanese RPG scene, right?
Right.
I know that some Western RPGs actually found a pretty significant following in Japan.
You're absolutely right. There was definitely some cross-pollination happening.
And which one was the big one?
The Wizardry series, in particular.
Oh, yeah, classic.
It was translated and distributed by ASCII Entertainment, and it became incredibly popular and influential in Japan.
Wow, I didn't realize it was that big over there.
It definitely left its mark on the early Japanese RPG development scene. You know, it provided a framework.
Extension to build on.
Yeah, exactly, that Japanese developers could then build upon and adapt.
And before these massive, sprawling RPGs really took hold, I understand that visual novel adventure games also played a crucial role in shaping the genre.
They absolutely did.
Really?
Companies like Enix, Square, Nihon Falcom, and Koei,
The big names.
they were really instrumental in laying the groundwork for the early Japanese RPG landscape.
I see.
They honed their storytelling skills
Makes sense.
and learned how to engage players through narrative, before fully diving into the more complex mechanics of the RPG genre.
Right, so like the story came first,
Yeah, exactly.
and then they added the mechanics on top.
Pretty much.
So it sounds like the 1980s in Japan were this really dynamic, experimental period for computer RPGs.
Absolutely. A time of incredible diversity and creativity, with developers trying out all sorts of innovative ideas before titles like Dragon Quest and Final Fantasy came along.
Right, and those games really solidified the more recognizable genre conventions.
Yeah, in the 1990s.
Right, okay, so let's delve into some of these early experiments.
So let's go back in time.
We're talking about what we're calling proto-JRPGs, right?
Exactly, the predecessors.
And it sounds like 1982 was a particularly significant year.
It was a big year. The year of the proto-JRPG.
1982, the year it all began.
Well, at least in Japan.
Right, in Japan.
Koei's Underground Exploration holds the distinction of being the very first, released in March of that year.
Underground Exploration sounds intriguing.
It does, doesn't it?
So, what came after that initial foray into the unknown?
Well, just a month later, in April 1982,
Wow, that's quick.
Pony Canyon released Spy Daisakusen.
Spy Daisakusen.
And what was particularly interesting about this one is that it moved away from the typical fantasy settings and instead was based on the Mission Impossible franchise.
Oh, wow, a spy RPG.
Spy RPG in 82.
That's surprisingly forward-thinking.
I know, right?
Okay, so we had the fantasy RPG and the spy RPG.
And then Koei came back with another title that same year.
Which one?
The Dragon and Princess.
The Dragon and Princess. Okay.
Released for the PC 801 in 1982.
Right.
This one had those classic adventure game elements.
Like what?
Centered around rescuing a kidnapped princess.
Ah, the classic trope.
But here's where it gets really interesting.
Okay, tell me.
After a random encounter.
Oh, like those classic RPG random encounters.
Exactly. The game would switch from a text-based adventure to a completely separate graphical overhead battle screen.
Oh, I see.
Where you'd engage in turn-based tactical combat.
So you had this blend of narrative exploration, and then suddenly, bam, you're in a strategic battle.
Precisely.
It sounds like the fundamental building blocks of the JRPG formula are starting to take shape.
Absolutely. Those core elements were coming together.
And Koei didn't limit themselves to just princesses, did they?
No, it didn't.
There was another game that year.
There was.
With a, shall we say, more mature theme.
Yes, that's quite right.
More adult.
Also in 1982, Koei released Danchizuma no Yuaku.
Okay, what does that even mean?
It translates to Seduction of the Condominium Wife.
Okay, we'll just leave it at that.
Released for the PC 800-01.
Right.
While it also had adventure game elements, it was notable for its eroge content,
Oh.
or Japanese erotic game content.
Oh, okay, so definitely a wide spectrum of themes being explored.
Even in these early days.
Even back then, wild.
Pushing the boundaries.
So these 1982 titles, Underground Exploration, Spy Daisakusen, The Dragon and Princess, and Seduction of the Condominium Wife.
Quite the lineup.
These are what we're considering these proto-JRPGs.
A pioneer.
These initial experiments happening even before Wizardry and Ultima had made their way to Japan.
Exactly. They were laying the groundwork.
Setting the stage.
Yeah, exploring different mechanical ideas and thematic directions.
And Koei continued their output in 83 as well.
Oh, they were just getting started.
Okay, tell me about 83.
In June 1983, they released Sword and Sorcery.
Sword and Sorcery, okay.
This one, again, revolved around rescuing a princess.
Of course.
But this time, they added the objective of defeating a powerful wizard as well.
Okay, so princess, rescuing, and wizard slaying.
The classic combo.
What else happened in 83?
That same year, Koei also gave us Secrets of Khufu,
Secrets of Khufu.
which was a more traditional dungeon crawl RPG,
Okay.
focused on the classic quest of finding the hidden treasure of the pharaoh Khufu.
Ah, classic.
Classic dungeon crawl.
So they were experimenting with different types of RPGs.
Yeah, branching out.
And ASCII also entered the fray in 83
They did.
with Arfgalt.
Arfgalt for the FM7,
Okay.
which also incorporated those adventure game elements we've been discussing.
So a lot of familiar themes starting to emerge, even in these very early titles.
Right, you can see the seeds being planted.
But Neon Falcom also got in on the action in 83
They did.
with Panorama Toe.
Or Panorama Island, as it was sometimes called.
Panorama Island, all right.
This one sounds like it took a slightly different approach.
Okay, in what way?
Well, it was developed by Yoshio Kiya,
Okay.
who would later be the driving force behind Dragon Slayer.
Okay, so this is like a precursor.
Yeah, you could say that Panorama Toe had only limited elements of what we'd consider a traditional RPG.
In what sense?
It didn't really have a stats or leveling system as we understand them.
Interesting.
But what's fascinating is that it featured real-time gun combat.
Wow, gun combat in 83? That's ahead of its time.
Definitely foreshadowed the action RPD direction that Falcom would later become so well known for.
Yeah, they really pioneered that style.
They did.
What else made Panorama Toe stand out?
Well, it featured a desert island overworld with a dynamic day-night cycle.
Oh, cool. So like a living world.
Yeah, and NPCs that you could interact with.
Okay.
Or even choose to attack.
Wow, so you had some freedom.
You did, and there was a notable survival element.
Like what?
You had to find and consume rations to restore your health, which depleted with pretty much every action you took.
Wow, so it was a real challenge.
It was. So while it wasn't a full-fledged RPG in the traditional sense,
Right.
it was definitely taking steps towards that more action-oriented RPG formula.
Okay, so the seeds were being planted.
Exactly.
And it sounds like the mid-1980s were when things really started to shift more definitively towards this action RPG style.
Yeah, things were heating up.
And we absolutely have to talk about Namco's arcade hit, The Tower of Druaga,
A classic.
from June 1984.
Oh yeah, The Tower of Druaga, a crucial game.
Why was it so important?
While its direct RPG mechanics were somewhat subtle,
Okay.
its significant success in Japan was really the spark
The catalyst.
that ignited the development of 3 nearly simultaneous early action RPGs.
Oh, wow. So this game really kicked things off.
It did.
Which games are we talking about?
We're talking about Dragon Slayer, Courageous Perseus, and Hydlide, all released in late 1984.
Wow, a three-way action RPG race?
It was an exciting time.
That sounds like an exciting time to be a gamer in Japan.
It really was.
So out of those three, Dragon Slayer, Courageous Perseus, and Hydlide,
Yeah.
which one is considered the most influential?
Well, Nihon Falcom's Dragon Slayer from 84 is widely considered a foundational title.
Really?
Yeah, it's broadly regarded as the first true action RPG,
Wow, the first one.
the one that started it all.
So what made it so special?
It was characterized by its real-time hack-and-slash-dungeon crawling.
Okay.
It played a key role in laying the foundation for the entire Japanese RPG industry.
That's huge.
And it was a major commercial success in Japan, really solidifying the action RPG subgenre on Japanese computers, with Nihon Falcom at the forefront of this movement.
So Dragon Slayer was all about that fast-paced combat within dungeon environments.
Exactly, that was their focus.
What about Hydlide? Also from 84.
Hydlide took a different approach.
Okay, tell me about it.
It was released for the PC 8801 and later also on the Famicom, and it was an early example of an open-world game that really rewarded exploration. Oh, interesting.
It also introduced some important innovations to the action RPG formula, such as the ability to switch between attack and defense modes,
Okay.
a quick save load system using passwords.
Oh yeah, the classic password saves.
And that health and magic regeneration when your character stood still.
Right, which became a staple.
A feature that Falcom would also famously incorporate into their later Wise series.
Yeah, that's a classic mechanic now.
Absolutely a game changer.
So it sounds like between the Tower of Druaga, Dragon Slayer, and Hydlide,
Yeah, those three.
the action RPG genre in Japan really found its footing
They set the stage.
and went on to influence later giants in the field like Wise and even The Legend of Zelda.
Without a doubt, they were the pioneers.
And we shouldn't overlook the Black Onyx.
Oh, The Black Onyx, another important title,
Released in 1984 by Bulletproof Software.
led by Hank Rogers.
Okay.
It became a best-selling computer game in Japan and even won the prestigious Game of the Year award from Login magazine.
Wow, so it was critically acclaimed. It was. And it significantly helped to bring wider mainstream attention to computer RPGs within the country.
So 84 was clearly a pivotal year for Japanese computer RPGs.
A year of innovation.
And then Dragon Slayer's success led to a sequel that was even more ambitious.
Oh yeah, they went all out.
Dragon Slayer 2 Xanadu in 1985.
Xanadu, a classic.
What made it so special?
Well, it went on to become the best-selling PC game in Japan.
Wow, that's impressive.
It was a much more fully realized RPG experience with character stats and a substantial quest to undertake.
Okay, so they really expanded on the formula?
They did.
And what about the combat?
What really set it apart was its blend of action-based combat,
Okay.
incorporating both melee attacks and projectile magic,
Oh, wow.
all within a side-scrolling view for exploration, which then transitioned to an overhead view for battles.
So they were really playing with perspective.
Yeah, experimenting with different views.
And I recall reading that Xanadu also had some other pretty innovative features for its time.
Oh yeah, it was ahead of its time.
Like-
It featured individual experience points for your equipped items.
Oh, wow, so your items leveled up with you.
Exactly.
That's cool.
And a very early implementation of a karma morality system
Oh, interesting.
that influenced how non-player characters, particularly those within temples, would react to your character based on their accumulated sins.
So your actions had consequences.
They did. It added a layer of moral complexity.
And it's also considered a proto-Metroidvania game
Yeah.
because it allowed players to run, jump, collect items, and explore a large interconnected world.
It was like taking the core of an RPG and turning it on its side in terms of perspective and exploration.
A proto-Metroidvania in 85.
That's right.
That's a fascinating connection.
It really is.
And the article mentioned that the Dragon Slayer series approach of completely reworking the core game system with each new installment actually influenced the development philosophy behind Final Fantasy.
Yeah, that's a really key insight.
I see. So each game was like its own unique experiment
Exactly.
than just building on the previous one.
Yeah, they weren't afraid to start from scratch.
And according to sources like Games TM and the research of John Szczepaniak,
Right.
Enix's Dragon Quest, which itself went on to define so many other RPGs,
Dragon Quest, another classic.
was also influenced in part by Dragon Slayer.
It's fascinating how interconnected these early developments were.
Yeah, with developers building upon each other's ideas.
It was a really collaborative time.
It sounds like Falcom was really at the heart of a lot of this early innovation, establishing themselves as one of the big three foundational Japanese RPG developers alongside Enix and Square,
They were the pioneers.
and even directly influencing their approaches.
Absolutely. Their impact was huge.
And while Dragon Slayer was making significant waves, Hydlide also received a sequel in 1985.
It did. Hydlide II, Shine of Darkness.
Kind of darkness, all right.
This one also experimented further with morality systems.
How so?
It featured an early morality meter.
Another form of karma tracking.
Yeah, you could say that.
Okay,
It tracked your character's alignment as either justice, normal, or evil.
I see.
And this alignment was affected by whether you chose to kill evil monsters, good monsters, or even humans.
Oh, wow, so you could really go down a dark path.
You could.
And this, in turn, had a noticeable impact on how the various townsfolk would react to your character.
They would treat you differently depending on your alignment.
So your in-game actions really had tangible consequences on how the world around you perceived and treated you.
It was a very early example of that kind of dynamic morality system.
That's a pretty sophisticated concept for that early period.
It was ahead of its time.
What else was happening in 85?
Let's see, 85.
I noticed a mention of a shooter RPG,
Oh yeah, that was Magical Zoo's The Screamer
The Scream.
for the PC 8801.
Okay.
It was an early and somewhat unusual example of a real-time shooter that was also deeply intertwined with RPG elements.
Interesting, like a blend of genres.
Exactly.
What was the setting?
It was set within a post-World War III post-apocalyptic world.
Okay, so pretty bleak.
Yeah, but it also incorporated cyberpunk and bio-horror themes.
Wow, that's quite a genre mashup.
They really threw everything in there.
Definitely sounds like a unique blend.
It was.
And Square also released their very first RPG in 85, right?
They did Genesis. Beyond Revelation.
Genesis, Beyond the Revelation.
It was an
Okay.
early futuristic sci-fi RPG for the PC 8801.
All right.
also featuring a post-apocalyptic setting.
So that theme was popular even back then.
It seems so.
And what's interesting is that it clearly demonstrates how developers were already starting to look beyond traditional medieval fantasy tropes.
Yeah, they were exploring other potential worlds and scenarios for their RPGs.
And there were other sci-fi themed RPGs emerging that same year as well.
There were.
Like what?
Enix released the Earthfighter Reyeza.
The Earthfighter Reyeza.
The Earthfighter Reyeza, okay.
And Kagato Studio put out Cosmic Soldier for the MSX.
Cosmic Soldier, all right.
What was particularly noteworthy about Cosmic Soldier was its early dialogue conversation system.
Oh, so you could actually talk to characters. Yeah, and it allowed you to actively recruit allies, make choices about whether to kill or spare your enemies, and even just engage them in general conversation.
Wow, so your choices had an impact.
They did, and this system actually bears a notable resemblance to the later, more widely recognized Megami Tensei series.
That's interesting. So these early dialogue systems were really laying the groundwork for more complex character interactions.
Exactly.
And narrative branching that would become more prevalent later on.
They were paving the way.
It really paints a picture of this incredibly fertile and experimental time for Japanese computer RPGs throughout the mid-'80s.
It was a golden age of innovation.
And that leads us into what's often referred to as the golden age of Japanese computer gaming.
The era of the PC-98.
Which spanned from the late 1980s to the early 1990s.
A time of incredible creativity.
But as we mentioned earlier,
Yeah.
this vibrant scene would eventually start to decline around the mid-1990s as the console market gained increasing dominance.
Right, the console started to take over.
But during this golden age, we saw some truly groundbreaking titles emerge.
Oh, yeah, some real classics.
Like Wybarm from RC Software in 1986.
Wybarm, now that was a game.
What made it so special?
This one was pushing the technical boundaries significantly.
In what way?
It's considered the earliest known RPG to feature full 3D polygonal graphics.
3D graphics in 86.
That's right, way ahead of its time.
That's incredible.
It was a really innovative role-playing shooter where you controlled a transformable mecha.
The transforming mecha. That's awesome.
And it seamlessly switched between a 2D side-scrolling view for exploring the environment and a fully realized 3D polygonal third-person perspective when inside buildings.
Oh, wow. So they were really blending different perspectives.
They were.
And to top it off, the boss battles even took place in a 2D shoot-'em-up style.
It was a wild mix of genres.
A transforming mecha rendered in 3D polygons way back in 86.
It was groundbreaking.
That's seriously impressive for the time.
It blew people's minds.
What else made Wybarm stand out?
Well, unlike the first-person perspective RPGs of that era, which typically restricted movement to 90-degree turns,
Okay.
Wybarm allowed for full 360-degree movement within its 3D environments.
So you had full freedom of movement.
Exactly.
It's amazing.
It also boasted a variety of weapons and equipment that you could acquire and upgrade, an in-game auto map, and the ability to improve your mecha's stats.
So they really packed it with features.
They did. They wanted to push the limits.
It sounds like they were really pushing the absolute limits of what was technically achievable on those early PC systems.
They were.
And Falcom certainly wasn't resting on their past successes either, were they?
Not at all. They were always innovating.
They released Xanadu Scenario 2nd in 1986.
Another classic.
What was that one about?
It was an early example of what we'd now consider an expansion pack.
Oh, so like additional content.
Exactly.
Right.
Offering players non-linear exploration across 11 distinct levels that they could tackle in any order they chose.
So even in those early days, they were finding ways to extend the gameplay experience beyond the initial release.
They were. They wanted to give players more.
And there was Dragon Slayer Jr. Romancia, also in 86.
Ah, Romancia, a bit of a departure.
How so?
This one significantly simplified the RPG mechanics that were present in Xanadu,
Okay.
getting rid of character customization options and representing stats with simple icons.
So they stone-lined it.
They did, and the primary focus shifted towards much faster-paced platforming action, all within a strict 30-minute time limit.
A 30-minute time limit for what's still considered part of the Dragon Slayer RPG lineage.
I know, right?
That sounds incredibly intense.
It was a real adrenaline rush.
And the entire game adopted a side-scrolling perspective.
That's right.
There was no longer a separate combat screen.
It was all about that fast-paced action.
It definitely leaned much more towards the action-adventure side of the spectrum.
Absolutely.
And Square also had another sci-fi themed RPG in 86.
They did, Cruise Chaser Blasty.
Cruise Chaser Blasty.
In this title, you took control of a customizable mecha robot.
Oh, cool. Another mecha game.
Yeah, but the gameplay was primarily presented from a first-person perspective.
So a different take on the genre.
It really showcased their continued interest in exploring different genres and perspectives within the realm of role-playing experiences.
And the arcade scene was still playing a role in influencing home computer games as well, right?
Oh yeah, the arcades were still a major force.
The Return of Ishtar, the sequel to The Tower of Druaga, was released in arcades in '86.
The Return of Ishtar, another classic.
What was special about this one?
It was an early example of an action RPG that was particularly notable for featuring two-player cooperative gameplay.
So you could play with a friend.
Yeah, which was pretty rare back then.
And what about the controls?
It had a unique dual-stick control scheme for single players.
Oh, wow. That's innovative.
And a female protagonist,
Yeah, okay.
which was also pretty rare at the time.
And would consider the first heroic couple in video gaming.
Yeah, they were breaking new ground.
And also the very first password save system implemented in an arcade game.
So you could finally save your progress.
That's a big deal.
It was a game changer for the arcades.
So even the arcade developers were contributing to the evolving mechanics of the RPG genre.
Absolutely, they were pushing the boundaries.
Then, in 1987, Dragon Slayer Forged Grasshole family came out.
Also known as Legacy of the Wizard in the West.
Right, Legacy of the Wizard.
This one sounds like it brought back some of those deeper action RPG elements that were present in earlier Dragon Slayer games.
So they went back to their roots.
In a way, yeah.
Okay, what else did they do?
It returned to incorporating the deeper mechanics found in Xanadu,
Okay.
while retaining the side-scrolling perspective of Romancia.
So a blend of the old and the new.
Exactly.
And what about the world?
It also featured a large, interconnected open world
Oh, cool.
and a non-linear Metroidvania-style gameplay structure.
So the Metroidvania design philosophy was already taking shape in Japan in the mid-1980s.
It was. They were ahead of the curve.
That's a fascinating insight.
It really is.
And there was another game that year, Euphoria by System Sacom.
Euphoria, another hidden gem.
What was special about that one?
It was an action RPG with a Metroidvania-style open-world design. And what's particularly interesting about it is that it was possibly the only multiplayer example of its kind at the time, allowing for two-player cooperative gameplay.
A multiplayer Metroidvania in '87, that's a surprisingly rare find for that era.
It was a real trailblazer.
And the Dragon Slayer,